While it looks like Kathleen Kennedy and Lucasfilm are trying to expedite their Ray movie featuring Daisy Ridley, there are some rumors claiming that a number of Lucasfilm executives are terrified that that film will end up like the Marvels. Let's take a look at this here. Before we get to that, I'd like to ask you please hit that subscribe button, hit that bell for notifications. With that out of the way, let's get into this here. This is a rumor that article that I wrote earlier this week. Rumor Kathleen Kennedy expediting Daisy Ridley's Ray movie. Disney executives terrified of another The Marvels failure. That is the headline. A new rumor claims that Kathleen Kennedy is expediting the production of the previously announced Ray film featuring Daisy Ridley and being directed by Sharmeen Obaid Chinoy. Not only is the film reportedly being rushed into production, but a number of Disney executives are terrified that the film will end up being another failure like The Marvels. This latest rumor comes from Scooper WDW Pro and comes in the wake of a listing on the Film and Television Industry Alliance's website that the Ray film will go into production in the United Kingdom on April 7, 2024. The listing confirmed a previous rumor from back at the end of November that Kennedy and Lucasfilm were trying to rush the film into production. That rumor also came from WDW Pro. He stated at the time she's allegedly in a very big hurry to get this movie into full-on production. That includes trying to reserve locations very fast out of the strike, as well as getting everything tucked away and done and put into place. They want to move fast. Still, I am told not to expect this film out until at the very earliest late 2025, but almost assuredly 2026. That means even when this comes out, it will still have been basically a decade since Disney made money with Star Wars. And even that is suspect if you consider the cost that they had to pay George Lucas in order to purchase the Lucasfilm in total. However, his latest information comes from his insider, and he says Disney executives are very worried about this because of the Marvels. And here's where that worry comes from: the Marvels is unlikely to break 100 million at the domestic box office. It's an unbelievable flop. It's just unbelievable. Now, what did the audience say about Captain Marvel for years? They said, we didn't want to go see Captain Marvel. We went because you told us we had to see what was going to happen in our favorite movies. And then because it was not a good movie, now we dislike this character. And then the audience celebrated when Captain Marvel was not in other movies very much. And then when Disney said, no, no, she's popular. Here's the movie. Go see it. Here's the sequel. Fans reacted poorly. Ray is magnitudes higher than that, WDW Pro asserted, because the way that Ray works is that when The Force Awakens came out, fans were told, you've got to see this to see all your original characters that you love. And that didn't happen. I would a little disagree with that a little bit. I think there was more of like, this is the continuation of the Star Wars story that you love, but we are introducing a bunch of new characters, but you will still have your original characters as well. But we're telling a new story, and I hope you guys enjoy it. What we got was basically a soft reboot and a retread of the original Star Wars films, and George Lucas panning them and calling the Walt Disney Company white slavers. And nevertheless, WDW Pro went on and said, and then they were told, you've got to go see The Last Jedi because you've got to see actual Master Luke training Rey. I definitely think that was part of it. I think it was more along the lines of, hey, we didn't really finish off this other movie, but we'll promise that we are going to give you something in the future. So you better go. You got to watch the next one in order to see what happens. And then it was absolutely terrible. Was an anathema to everything that Star Wars stood for. Broke so much of the canon. Obviously, The Force Awakens did that as well. But I think a lot of people were still going to give it some of that leniency, hoping that maybe the second one would kind of tie up some of those loose ends. It did not. It created even more and outright ruined characters like Luke Skywalker. Uh, WDW Pro goes on and says, and then they were told, you've got to go see The Rise of Palpatine. Obviously, he's making a little joke there. Obviously, it's The Rise of Skywalker, because you've got to see how this actually plays out. We've got a super secret plan to make this all be worthwhile. Like, we're going to redeem all those characters. And then that didn't happen. I think at that point, I think people were just tuning in to see how much of a train wreck it would be. We saw all of the rumors coming out, and they all turned out to be true. And I think it was literally people just wanted to go watch the train fall off the cliff because there's absolutely no way they were going to make that film work after The Last Jedi. Nevertheless, WDW Pro goes on and says that's three big movies that people were forced to go see, where their favorite heroes were desecrated and where Rey was elevated. And I think Disney executives know this could actually be worse than the Marvels. I actually tend to agree with him. That is the main thrust of the rumor right there. I think that Disney executives should think that this is going to be worse than the Marvels. They should immediately scrap this film because it looks like they're going to be wasting upwards of 170 million. Because according to WDW Pro, he's telling telling us that his source informed him that Lucasfilm wants a $225 million budget for the film, while Disney wants a $170 million budget. Obviously, maybe some consternation happening between executives at Lucasfilm and executives at the Walt Disney Company. Again, I think this film will do even worse than the Marvels. No one is really interested in Rey anymore. I don't really think there's a lot of excitement for it. I think we will see even worse box office grosses than what we saw with Solo, the first film to directly lose money, be a box office bomb in the Star Wars franchise, did not make back its a budget. So huge risk here doing this Rey film, and I just don't think that it will pay off. I think this is a loser. This is something you do not bet on. This is something you especially do not bet hundreds of millions of dollars on. And if there are indeed these Disney executives that are worrying about this, maybe someone should start actually listening to them. But I actually am kind of skeptical of this rumor in general because we've seen Ike Perlmutter come out and say that he was fired for wanting to keep budgets down at Marvel Studios. So it's hard to imagine that there might be people still there at Disney that want to keep budgets down, given that they have been firing some of their top executives from their most coveted IPs. But let me know what you guys make of this rumor. Do you think there are indeed some Disney executives that are worried about this? What do you think this Rey movie will do? Are you interested in it? Do you think, like me, that it's going to be an absolute disaster and they're just going to blow a bunch of money? Let me know in the comments below.